We're 6 weeks out from my oldest brother's wedding.
We create these futures, we have these dreams, and they just get shattered into 1,000 pieces when we realize that that person isn't going to be there for us or with us.
I feel guilty for having fun or laughing when I should be grieving.
Mum and Dad had planned to be in Paris for their 30th anniversary. How can I incorporate something about that future with the people that I love?
Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of Good Grief. Today we're going to be chatting through grieving the loss of different futures. We've just been diving into the book by J.S. Park.
As long as you need.
As long as you need.
Permission to grieve.
So good. It's not only practical but full of heart. I feel like we're receiving a new grief book almost every other day now. We received one yesterday from Emily Curtis.
This is a beautiful book as well.
Beautiful. You could just spend time just looking at the book before opening it.
Yeah, anything gold grabs my attention.
Oh, yeah.
And this one here is actually full of different people's stories through grief and also poetry written by Emily herself, as well as full of scripture and songs and hymns. It's an incredible book. We're yet to even, scratch the surface of this one, but pretty cool. Emily's going to be on the podcast, and
so
we're going
exciting.
to have a great chat. So keep an eye out from that. But even from stories I've just shared on Instagram already, I've had people saying, I need to get that book. So this one's called Hope in the Morning by Emily Curtis.
So good. We're excited for that. So stay tuned for her episode coming soon.
And what else have we got coming up?
What else have we got coming up? We are doing our first grief meet. So if you're local, we're on the Gold Coast. If you're in surrounding areas from like Sunshine Coast down to like northern New South Wales, keep an eye out. We're about to announce that in a couple of weeks, and we're excited to meet some of you. Yeah,
that's gonna be really special.
Yeah, we met our first Good Grief member last week, Athena. That was amazing, just to get in personal, and we're excited to meet more of you. So yay!
Let's dive in.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Grieving the loss of futures. This isn't something that I don't think it didn't strike me immediately, but it grew over time as I started to realize the things that you miss out on or won't get to experience with the person you lost. So we both, our major losses in life have been your mum, my dad.
Yeah.
And probably it started to compound when we started dating, because then you start to think about the future of our relationship and where that's going and the people that you want in and around your life. And that's probably when I started really reflecting truly. I'd thought about it in the years gone by, but truly reflecting, wow, we're likely to get married. Dad's 100% not going to be there.
Yeah, I think for our family it was a bit more of a realization because we were 6 weeks out from my oldest brother's wedding.
And you were expecting your mum to be there?
Oh, yeah. Mum and I had gone shopping for her. We've got 2 beautiful dresses for her to wear. And it was a couple of weeks. Yeah, a week before that.
And you guys were imploring and vying for her and
100%. She was in a wheelchair. She had lost the loss of her legs. Lost the feeling in her legs. But yeah, we were 100% expectant of her being there.
I reckon the expectancy is what breaks us more than anything. It's we create these futures, we have these dreams, and they just get shattered into 1,000 pieces when we realize that that person isn't going to be there for us or with us, whether it's child, spouse, parent, friend. And it's a compounding effect to the grief. We're trying to deal with the loss of the person that we love and then the loss of the experiences that we're so, hoping for in the future.
Yeah, it's like a stack of sandwich that just keeps stacking.
Yeah.
Yeah. My family loves a good everything on it.
You got a big family. How did you
but not in grief.
How did you guys manage to get through the wedding?
Good question. I think because of the celebrations, we kind of reveled. Is that the right word in that?
Reveled.
Yeah. I think we
You put your focus on the celebrations.
Yes, very much so. And very much a people-focused family, so there were lots of people there. We made new friendships, and it was lots of fun. So it was almost hard not to. You kind of almost felt bad.
Not to celebrate.
Well, felt bad for having so much fun and being able to.
Like the guilt side.
Yeah, like, when people are like, I feel guilty for having fun or laughing when I should be grieving. But I very much think we tried to coincide like both of those. Yeah, we definitely tried to, bring mum into it and talk about her and things like that. But
I think one of the larger experiences that I was aware of was like, and our parents were married the same year.
Yeah.
And so it happened to be our parents' 30th wedding anniversary the following year.
Yeah.
And so 30 years coming up, mum and dad had planned to be in Paris for their 30th anniversary.
They'd booked things, hey?
Yeah, things were booked.
Yeah.
And obviously that seeing mum have to have that just crumble apart. It's not about the trip and 30 years. It's about the person that you love, And so that was something, from the moment that I realized they weren't going to have that adventure.
Yeah.
I had this deep-seated dream to one day take mum to Paris and fulfill on that anniversary. And so
We're still yet to do that.
we're yet to do it, but it's on the cards.
Yes.
That's something that we want to do. And I think that's part of the question that we can raise in thinking about these futures that we've lost is, how can I incorporate something about that future with the people that I love?
Yeah, I think it's almost getting some closure on that dream. Like, how can we, do something to get closure so that we're not keep on grieving the same dream that's never happened.
And I mean, reading through J.S. Park's book here, he talks about dreaming as a method for coping.
Like a medicine.
Yeah, and that we need dreams to provide hope as we continue to move forward.
And I mean, we do in general life anyway.
Totally.
So even more so in grieving, I think.
So he says this in his chapter on loss of future dreams. We survive the nightmare of loss, I think, by dreaming. To dream is to cope. It is the brain's essential defense against itself. We create new dreams all the time, a canvas of assurances against the intolerable. The world continues to be cruel and unfair, but we dream amid the wreckage of what no longer is. I love that part where he says, to dream is to cope. It is the brain's essential defense against itself. And I think we all can relate to our brains supporting us or betraying us in different ways when we're overthinking and we're overstimulated and the world seems like it's burning down. But then there's other times where our brain really supports us and we're in a great state and we see the birds and listen to the birds singing and it fills us with a sense of joy or gratitude. Or someone buys us a coffee, unexpectedly, something small, and it shows us that there's still hope in the world.
Yeah. I know sometimes you can just your brain can just take over in a still moment, can't it? And you can either be dreaming or you get lost in a vortex of whatever. So dreams really, I think, carry us through, don't they?
And it's not easy either when we talk about dreaming to help us cope. If we've lost someone so close to us, we can't dream about a future experience with them because they're not here. It's just not possible. I tend to set my sights on heaven when it comes to that point of dreaming of the day when we eventually reconnect and there is no more pain, no more sickness, no more sorrow, and it's just full joy.
I think of that day often, so often, and it really does give me hope. It's something to cling on to. I could die now and I'd be happy, and I could see mum again, and Like
You'd be
going
all
into
right.
eternity, we'd be all right. Yeah.
You'd leave me and Nazare behind, but you'd be okay.
Well, you said that the other day to Nazare, didn't you? Like,
Yeah.
I love you so much, I could just die right now and I'd be happy.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is when it comes to these ideas and dreams and hopes that we held with people that we loved, is sharing those things and not holding them to ourselves. I think by keeping them to ourselves, it only creates more turmoil and more pain. And so, another thing about what J.S. Park says in his book, and this is why everyone should read this, is he talks about grief always needing a voice in terms of sharing those things. And he quotes Zora Neale Hurston here. He says, "There is no agony like bearing an untold story inside you." And then he goes on to say, "It must conversely be true that there is no greater peace than to tell that story. It's the very voice of telling that story that moves us into being whole again." So I think part of the healing process, as hard as it is when we're going through grief, is sharing those untold dreams, hopes, and futures that we held onto and expected so tightly with people around us that we can trust, with
Totally.
if it's our spouse or whether it's our children or whether it's our neighbor, our friends, our family, finding someone that you can confide in to say, "Hey, I was really hoping that this day would come to pass, that I'd be able to share these experiences, like have our parents at our wedding or have our parents here to meet our first child, for them to become grandparents in that sense." And there's some of our most held dreams of the future that we're not going to get to experience with them. But I think sharing that, like J.S. says in his book, is part of that process of becoming whole again.
I think we do that a lot, don't we? We talk about it. We talk about them not being here, but if they were here, what it would look like, the things we'd do, the things they'd say, stories they'd tell.
Does that give you comfort?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's nice. It's partly dreaming up a reality of them here, but also knowing that they're not. It's kind of this like double world experience of you're speaking it out to grieve and to put closure to what's not going to be, but you're also in the moment having a little fantasy of what could have been.
That's right.
But,
and it usually starts with if Dad was here.
Yeah.
Or if Mum was here.
Yeah.
And it brings us...
It's bittersweet, but it's also healing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still strange to try and process that. If they were here, this is what would be happening. And we know them so well that's what they would be doing.
Yeah, I think you asked me last week what would your mum be doing, if she was holding Nazare? And I was like, she'd be gooing and garring and, laughing with her and doing all the faces because mum was very animated.
And singing songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we can find comfort in thinking about what they would have been like here with us, what they would have been doing, I think that, can be really helpful.
You could even write it out, I reckon.
100%.
Like if you're a journaler, I definitely reckon you should spend some time writing out the dreams that you saw, that you hoped for, that you're holding on to. Yeah, write them out as if they were to come.
There's something cathartic and powerful about writing when we allow our mind to connect with our hand on paper and let our thoughts flow. We often think about things we wouldn't have just thought about inside of our mind. And we can often put into context some of the things we haven't been able to understand ourselves as well. And it can be it is quite a healing process to write. I've got that journal next to my bedside and I haven't written in that journal for a long time, but just flicking through it and seeing some of the thoughts that I had years ago and where I am now, it also shows me and documents the journey and the process. And not only that, but the progress the healing that's taken place in some of those areas of my life. So we highly encourage journaling, and start small. Just start with one sentence.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be surprised where your brain takes you, takes your hand. Oh, so good. There's another part in here that I wanted to share with people.
And fun fact or little inside note, if you're listening, is that June's going to be coming on the podcast, and we're going to break his book apart and pull out all of the good stuff and hear some of the inside stories that he tells so intimately here as a hospital chaplain. Sorry, we didn't share that at the start. He is a hospital chaplain, and he sat bedside of hundreds and hundreds of people sick and dying, some that have survived, many that have died. And so that's where his experience over a decade has come from.
Yeah, so good. So I just want to share this bit that going back to, where it takes us. Mostly it is our body trying to rest inside the dream. Not to deny our loss, but to survive it, to honor it, and to find resolve to keep dreaming. So yeah, I just love the way he worded that we find resolve while we keep dreaming, and we honor it. We honor the dream, we speak it out, we share it, and yeah, that's just super healing. So just love the way he words things, brings his heart into it, and yeah, just the little stories that he shares about his patients and all the little tidbits that come out. It's very cool. He's experienced some wild things.
How would you say you're processing current, future losses,
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously I'm spending a lot of time feeding, so I got a lot of time to think, and yeah, I'll sit there and dream about it. Let my mind wander on what could have been and what's not. Yeah, and then we might chat it out. We might talk about different things that are coming up, and what mum or dad would have done.
Are there things that you hold to yourself and don't share, or do you share all of them with me?
I don't know. I don't think I hold anything back on purpose. Yeah.
No, I'm not asking for that reason. I'm just asking out of curiosity, like, do you share everything that you sort of dwell on or think about? Or do some thoughts just pass you by and they're not?
Yeah, no, probably not. Some thoughts probably just come and go, like, yeah, this would have happened, or it would have been like this.
And while you're sitting quietly, does that bring you to tears? Like, you've got, you're tearing up now talking about it, but do you sit there quietly while you're feeding, thinking about some of these future losses? Does that bring you to tears, or you just process them, think about them?
Yeah, I think I've had a few teary moments. You always bringing up my tears makes me tear up more. I hate it.
You can't cry about crying.
No, I do. I hate that you always bring it up. Stop doing that. All right. Yes, I have had a few teary moments. Not as much as not, if that makes sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, not as many teary moments as I've not had teary moments.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So only a few.
Sure. Like 2% tears, 98% not tears. Something like that. Is that what you're trying to say? Okay. All right. We got there.
That was a mum brain explanation. Don't even have the tissues nearby. All right. Good one. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I have had some teary moments, but only when I felt like crying. I just allow myself to cry it out.
Yeah. It's good to feel that. Well, this has been quite the conversation.
Isn't it?
We've zigged and zagged. You've got a doctor's appointment to go to.
I do.
So we're going to wrap this podcast there.
Yeah.
We hope some of these sort of thoughts, musings and questions have been helpful. There's no way we can cover this whole topic in a podcast.
No.
There's so much to continually process. And as time moves forward, it creates more futures that we wouldn't get to experience with our loved ones. And so our hope is that just today from this conversation, you've felt seen and heard. And And maybe there's been a couple of questions here or thoughts even from June's book that have been really challenging, but also helpful and helping you towards that journey of healing. Keep an eye out because we are going to be having him on the podcast, as well as Emily with her book, Hope in the Morning. So we've got some cool
So good.
podcasts coming up. So make sure you have subscribed or followed. And if I could ask, if you found this episode or a previous episode helpful, we'd really appreciate if you could just rate the podcast. Every 5-star rating really helps this reach more people going through grief.
Yes.
And as you know, it is tough and lonely. So we want to make sure we can reach as many people as possible.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks,
enough
guys.
from us.
That's enough from us today.
Big love. We'll see you soon.
Ciao.